What's happening, people? I want to be recording a quick little overview of a website from the one and only Stratford Sign Company in Stratford, Wisconsin. We recently did a website rebuild for them, and I thought, post-launch, I'm going to show you, or pre-launch rather, right before we get ready to launch the site next week, I wanted to do a quick little dive in and show you their old site, so I'll display it before and after up here at the top as well. But some of the things that we really wanted to improve on and my biggest recommendations to them in the beginning, things that we were sharing in our kickoff calls and our strategy sessions and what we were prioritizing for a new Webflow build. If you guys don't know me, if it's your first time here, welcome to the channel. My name is Andy. I'm the founder of MMG Design in Columbus, Ohio. We are a Webflow first design and strategy studio, and we are website experts. So without further ado, let's dive into Stratford. Okay, so we're just pulling up Stratford's website on a desktop view right here. I would pull it up on my Mac. This is a 1280 pixel screen resolution. And as I go through, what I'm usually looking at the first time I visit sites is just doing responsiveness checks, testing performance. The site isn't 100% fluid responsive, but as I scroll through it, we don't have a lot of content on the page. The first thing that comes to mind to me, and again, I'm trying not to go sensei level with some of this stuff, is that there is no proper navigation right above the screen. Best UX practice web behavior is to have some kind of a clickable element right here in the top right that clearly signals a button. And when we actually go to the top nav right here, this is actually just an image. What they did do well is that they did have it be an actual link. It's best practices for the logo in the top left to serve as the link back to the homepage. But yeah, I would love to have some kind of a clear button call to action right here, or even in the hero if we overlook that to the point to where having the slider scroll image here of our different services and categories. We do a really good job in portraying imagery on our site, but it's just not clear as to where I should click in order to get in touch. We want to have those UI elements, those big friendly buttons, in order to make it clear that not just I should click here, but what's on the other side of that click. As a general best UI practice, I don't recommend slider headers. I don't like things changing context constantly. Multiple CTAs, as I would have them, like I said, at first I don't even know these are CTAs. Now I'm getting them changing on a routine basis for our different we have electronic message centers, interior signage. I just don't know what I'm getting on the other side of this. It's also not great for performance, and we'll run a Chrome DevTools site check here in a minute to see how the site is performing. But yeah, not best practices. When we look at the navigation here, there's a lot of cleanup that we could do. I generally don't recommend more than 4 or 5. When you have a sub-nav like this, meaning that the CTAs, which we actually don't have, but it's just a nav below what the header should be. You can have a little bit more because there's more horizontal screen real estate. In terms of how these are categorized, I think it's a bit confusing because when I see signage, I have interior, exterior, schools, graphics, print, promotional, and then services, design, manufacturing, installation, about, contact us, apply now. I think that's a little bit jumbled because what we want to do when we create a site architecture and sitemap is that we want to know how can we create the most overlap between who we serve, so our industries, our target industries, and the services that we provide them, and create granularity and kind of toss back and forth between them. So, for example, it's best practices to have a dedicated industries page, so listing all of the industries that you guys serve in one succinct dropdown, and then the services, which I think you guys have multiple kind of dropdowns that are all services. So you have signage and graphics. Services is graphics, not a service, or is that a deliverable? It's kind of not clear to me what exactly you guys do, which leads me to my next point is that it's also general best practices to know as well, to have one standard message above the fold, knowing clearly explaining who you are, what you do, and how I can get in touch next. Right now, when I look at this, I don't see a clear headline or tagline that clearly states what you guys do and how I can get in touch for the next step. Next thing that I normally do is I have a lot of Chrome tools I normally run when I assess site. The first one is called Wapalizer, so I can tell exactly what CMS is using, what the page builder is. Looks like you guys are using Elementor hosted on Bluehost, and the page builder is Elementor as well. So that makes So that's at least top of mind. I know right away where the site is built, and I know what the process is looking like under the hood as you guys are making updates to this thing and maintaining it long term. The next thing I look at is semantics using the detailed SEO Chrome extension. Title is just the titles, the descriptions, the URLs, canonicals, and the semantic structure right here. Okay, so a lot of things that I would fix here just on the homepage. The page title isn't bad. You have your guys' company name, you have services, and you have a tagline in there, which is generally what you want to include. It's just too long. So we recommend this be between 50 and 60 characters, or 65, no, less than 65 characters. But especially for the meta description and the canonical, you want to have a global canonical, especially on the homepage. So you can set this in your hosting settings, or also in the dashboard of Webflow lets you set this as well. But that's kind of the under the hood stuff that we work on, make sure we're optimizing. In addition, some low-hanging fruit is that we don't have clear semantics. When Google or AI tools go in and read your screen, they assess semantics. So they're pulling from the H1, the H2s, H3s, and H4s. Generally, you want to have, or not generally, all the time, you want to have one H1, multiple H2s, multiple H3s, and fewer H4s, 5s, and 6s. But you need to have at least one H2, and you need to have you need to have one H1, and you need to have at least multiple H2s. Also, in terms of the images, they don't have alt text. So when, Google or AI bots or screen readers for people who have accessibility issues are disabled, when screen readers assess your site, they're not going to be able to know what the images represent. So you want to have 1 to 2 sentences of descriptive alt text, which you could add into your WordPress dashboard to give your site a more accessible feel and just make it more performant. So that's some things I'm looking at. As I scroll down on first page, we have, this is actually, I can give you guys some props for this. You have design, manufacture, install. This to me is much clearer. And when I'm at the top nav, I would prefer something to where it's a more segmented, choose my journey. Okay, do I need design? Do I need manufacturing? Or do I need install? And then that's where you get creative with the drop downs for each of them. If I click into manufacture, what am I brought to here? Okay. Here we go. We got a CTA right there. See, this is an example of what I would want to see kind of right here in the top right of the nav. Again, one thing I kind of skipped over here was the accessibility. So when I load this on a mobile viewpoint, we have an auto-playing video. We have a sub-nav right here, which doesn't take up the full view width. It's the same drop-down as before. The homepage links back to the top. So yeah, not terrible from a nav perspective. Again, this UI right here is a little bit tough for me from a user standpoint because it doesn't 100% register as a dropdown. I'm looking to the top right corner for that, and when I go and click there, I'm just redirecting to the homepage. So a little bit of low-hanging fruit you could do in terms of optimization there, but it does respond a little bit well. Obviously, there's some issues with how it's presenting itself. But yeah, when I go to the contact page, next thing I want to say, this is good. We always recommend having some faces, some headshots, some people that are on our site, because that is what's going to earn you guys trust with your audience, with your viewers. You guys have names, you guys have dates, you guys have contact points, which is great, but I want to see faces. I want to see smiling faces. You guys have great people behind the mission. I want to see that presented front and center. So add those headshots right there. You guys have a good job of having a map. If I go to contact us, same page. If I go to apply now, let's see what we're looking at here. Oh, so we have apply now, and I have to click again to apply now, which then goes to a Jotform. Okay, so with Jotform, it's okay to have some kind of a third-party form plugin. We use them all the time, but I'd highly recommend keeping that on your site. So Jotform lets you use an iframe embed to where we could put that on our native page, so that way we can just always own the traffic that's going to that page and also check how many people are going to it. It gets a lot harder to track how many forms are being submitted when you just have a button that goes to a domain that you don't own. I would recommend having that on one page rather than having to make people click twice before doing that. Something else I would recommend having is you guys are a local service business. So having mentioning somewhere on your site about pricing, about the details of deliverability. I want to know, if I search your site, just a best practice in general is think, okay, if we were never to talk to our customers and they had to figure out everything from just our site, give them enough information and make it clear enough to navigate to where they could find out everything. And then the first call, the sales call, is just a reiteration of what the source of truth is, and that's your website. So my biggest takeaway is kind of in summary there, making sure that you guys have service pages, meaning you have each of your services more clearly segmented, And then you also tie those with the pretty most match to them. So if someone comes to your website, we want to give them the impression that, hey, this is me and this is what I need. What you guys do is a very visual industry. So if you guys can present an image, a past project, a sign, a print, a car wrap, one of the services that you guys add, promotional item, to the right person in that audience, it's going to be a much stickier, a much more higher converting call to action for them. So now I'm going to jump into Webflow here and talk about the redesign and restructure that we did for Stratford. So if we go through right here, I'm going to view this in the Webflow preview mode and kind of pull up full screen. One thing we did a light brand refresh. As you guys can see, this logo right here, as it is, nostalgic. It wasn't quite checking those boxes. But again, we aligned more with standard UI UX principles. It's a lot cleaner from a design standpoint. We have a highly compressed video in order to make it more performant above the fold, which is our main priority. Above the proof. Okay, my approach here is thinking, if I were to just land on this website and I didn't have to scroll at all, would I have everything I need to know who they are, what they do, and how I can get in touch? So let's run through that. Who they are. Stratford Sign Company, we specialize in delivering high-quality signage and solutions adjusted to your needs. With 3 decades of experience, our fully in-house dedicated team ensures every project is handled with precision and care. Boom, I know who you guys are. I know what you do. I also have social proof. 4.9 stars and made 100% in the USA. That is attractive to me. I know you guys have done good work in the past. I know exactly where it's coming from. Midwest, Stratford, Wisconsin, baby. I know exactly what I should do next. I know that if I click this button, I'm going to be sent to a form to get a free quote. And it's very clear to see that these are buttons and how big they are. And I also know that I can kind of choose my own journey. If I don't want to get a free quote, I can just call you guys right away. And as we go into responsive mode here, those CTAs are going to still be presented front and center, both of them at the same time. So you can choose multiple ways to get in touch with us. When we talk navigation, we have those industries that we talk about. We have medical schools, businesses, financial institutions, churches, and wholesale. We have dedicated page messaging for each of these populations. We have a signage dropdown so that we can browse between each of your services to know exactly what you guys have done in the past with visual examples. We want people to see an example of a need that they need filled and then be able to categorize them and then be able to click on them and get a quote for that exact thing. We have some brand building. We have our about, we have careers, our story, and about us, and contact us, which is just another CTA that'll lead to the similar thing. We have an our work for our portfolio. We have a wholesale for the messaging that we're trying to prioritize front and center. Again, this is more items that I would recommend having in the top navigation. If I had to chop some out, we could chop out wholesale or even our work and just put that below about. But we have presented people with everything they need in order to take action and know who we are. We scroll down, adding more social proof, and I'll do review through all of these in a more in-depth case study. But the prioritization with here is that we use the Webflow CMS to have their services as broad categories, and we have these things called deliverables, which are more specific product offerings and project examples that fall underneath them. We also have a really high converting get a free quote so that no matter where people are on the site, we have a low friction slide out menu right here on the right where people can take action, get in touch with us, and that is accessible anywhere on the website. They have a really nice brand building section to where people can pull up the option to watch a video and watch our process in action through a previous project. This is a video hosted on YouTube, so it's not going to work in Webflow preview mode. Then we also have our audience segmentation, like we talked about. We are matching who the viewer is to an example visually of what they want. They want to create that desire with that exact audience in order to create a more higher leverage CTA. If we click through that, we'll get a dedicated service page on the other side of that. More social proof with testimonials, a nice little brand building section here with some branded imagery, naming our team members so we can create a personal touch and affiliation with our viewers. More brand building. And then we have our master deliverables page. By clicking through any of these, there are 40 in total as we expand down. Obviously, we don't want to have a big list of just things that we mention over and over with an infinite scroll. We have a see more tab to where we can display more and more as we scroll down. We have a really nice presentation here at the end with some of our best projects being diverse with some of the different project offerings that we take on. We see a vehicle, we see exterior signage, we see interior signage, we see monuments, things that different people can get in touch with. And then we also have our strong CTA, the nice contrasted orange, and a nice wholesome message here at the bottom. With our footer, this is kind of we call it the junk drawer of the website. Basically, we want all the pages to be accessible to a viewer no matter which page they land on. It's just really good for site architecture and site linking and tossing between different pages allows people to choose their own journey. Clearly segmented with bright orange category labels, companies, signage, industries, and areas we serve. With this, we can really just list out all of our pages. We have all of our service pages, all of our industry pages, all of our SEO location pages. So if we click into those, you will see an example, Stevens Point, strong messaging, a photo of what Stevens Point looks like with a dedicated form where they can convert above the fold. Scroll down, we're going to create familiarity with that audience with all of these SEO service pages, present all of our services in the best light possible. Scroll down even further, we have a little bit more social proof with a gallery right here. That is a quick little overview of Stratford Sign Company, the before and after, and some of our biggest priorities as we approach this rebuild and redesign. From start to finish, this was about a 2.5-month process, so about 10 weeks. And it was really wholesome and awesome to be able to work with a tight, well-knit team. The last thing I want to mention is that we mentioned that we wanted to show our people more front and center. Not only do we have team photos, but we also have a nice timeline talking through each element of their chapters and their story. And we have a team section with each of their people, job titles at Stratford Sense, and then adding some faces to the people behind the work. But yeah, again, let me know what you guys think. That is Stratford Sign Company. This was an awesome project. I learned a lot, developed a lot, and let me know if you guys found this valuable. I'll see you guys next time for the next site breakdown, the next website case study. If you guys have any questions, Webflow, or any questions, website development in general, shoot me a message, text me on LinkedIn, and I would be happy to connect to start a conversation. Without further ado, that's all for today. I'll see you guys next time.